So let's get into intervals. There are two types of intervals, harmonic and melodic intervals. A melodic interval is one note after another, while a harmonic interval are two notes played at the exact same time. There are two different ways of counting intervals. First one, quantity, and second one, quality. Quantity is to see how far one note is to another using staffs and the exclusion of accidentals when counting. Quality is the inclusion of accidentals when counting. So an example, quality C to D, it would be just 1. While quality C to D, it would be 2, as C to C sharp to D. Now, as you can see on the scale, intervals have different ways of counting letters on a scale. For example, P1 is perfect 1, or unison. M2 major or second, and then M3 major third is third, and then P4 fourth, P5 fifth, M6 sixth, M7 seventh, and P8 octave. Now anything above an octave is called a compound interval. And keep in mind that octave and a unison are the same, just an octave is higher in pitch. So a C1 for unison and a C2 for an octave. Now let's move on to augmented and diminished perfect and major intervals. There are 4 perfect intervals, those being unison, fourth, fifth, and octave. Minor or major, whatever you want to call them, I'll be calling them major, is second, third, sixth, and seventh. Now perfect unison is the same note played twice. So E flat 1 and then E flat 1. While a perfect octave is the same note but 2 different pitches. So E flat 1 and E flat 2. And those are 12 half steps apart. An augmented octave raises it up a half step, making it 13 half steps. So E flat to F. A diminished octave lowers it by a half step, making it a total of 11 steps. So turning that E flat to D. Now, let's apply this to minor sixths, for example. That is 10 half steps apart. If it became an augmented major sixths, instead of 10 half steps, it would be 11 half steps. And if it were to become a diminished minor sixths, instead of 10 half steps, it would be 9 half steps. Now, let's move on to triads. A triad is a chord that uses the first, or root, the third, and fifth, played at the exact same time, the root being the lowest note. An inverted triad is like a triad, but for a first inversion, the third becomes the lowest note, as the root becomes the highest note, while a second inversion makes fifth the lowest note and third the highest note.